There's the box.
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. This week and then the next 2 Wednesdays, we're starting essentially sort of a short course, short class, where we're going to go through the Back to the Bible booklets. We've talked a lot about evangelism, trying to reach out with people. And for a lot of people, the most terrifying thing about asking for a Bible study is they potentially might say what? Yes, all right? So at least for me, I was not afraid of someone saying no. I'd say, okay, great, thanks. I did my job, I asked you, see you later. The scariest thing for me for a long time was if somebody would actually say, yes, I'd like to have a Bible study. Then, of course, the question is, what do you do next? There's a lot of different methods on how to do it. This is a series of 3 booklets called Back to the Bible that Rob Whitaker teaches. He obtained the rights from Bobby Bates' family. Bobby Bates was a preacher, and he came up with this. We do have copies for everyone. Is anybody missing a copy that would like a copy? If you're missing a copy, we have one for Dwayne down here who wants a copy. Is there anyone else that's missing a copy of the booklet? Is there anyone that does not happen to have a pen or a writing utensil that needs one? Okay? Yes. Yeah, pen. Up here. If anyone else needs a pen, that wants a pen, one in the back. One in the back. Like an auctioneer. Hey, I want a pen. I want a pen. Anyone else need a pen? Or a pencil? Pay attention. You don't have to erase anything. Okay. Okay, we need 2 right here. 2 pens right here. Oh, you got one. 1 pen. Okay, 1 pen, not 2 pens. Right there. All right. Going once, going twice? Okay, so we're going to go through these 3 booklets. The first one is on authority in religion. The second one, which we'll cover next week, is on the church, talks about worship. And then the third booklet is on salvation. One of the things that Rob talks about in his classes is he says to defer questions. So as we go through this, if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand and ask it. If it's completely off topic or it's going to be covered later, I'm going to say, that's a great question. Let's write that down and we'll come back to it. Okay? Because if you've ever done one of these studies, or really any Bible study, a lot of times you start into the study if you have a plan on where you're going to go, and what starts popping up? Questions. You may be trying to study with somebody about the very basics of the church and God's plan and inspiration, and they say, now what do you think about miraculous visions? My cousin had this dream, and can I tell you what the dream was? And you can say, you know what, that's a great question. A lot of people have questions about that sort of thing. I'd love to talk with you about it, but let's what? Let's write it down. You can even make a little list we'll write it down in the back of the book, right? And we'll come back to it later, okay? There may be some questions as you go through that are legitimate, on topic, on point questions. If we're going through and you want to ask one, feel free, and we'll try to give you a quick answer if I have an answer, or we'll open it up to someone else that might have the answer that maybe I don't have the answer to, okay? This is a really easy, simple method, especially if you think you're prone to panic, because you're going to see all you have to do is flip to the verse, read it, and then answer the question, which is essentially most of the times a yes or no or a fill in the blank. Okay. One other reason that I think this is a good method to use is a lot of times you have a Bible study. If you don't have a method, maybe you go into it and you've got a lot of scriptures memorized, and you're firing back and they're really impressed with how much scripture you know, right? And then you leave the study, they go home, and what do they remember? Nothing. Maybe they took good notes, but likely a lot of times what happens is somebody leaves the study and they don't have anything to go home and check on. So with this, when you have the study with them, this is the teacher version, it's a bigger version. They have smaller versions, and if you study with that person, you do it along with them, and then you let them take the booklet home by themselves. So then they can go home and they can look up a question and they can read that section of Scripture on their own, right? Okay, let's go ahead and get into it.